Amazon could be playing a major role in further conference realignment. We're going to be going over a report from Dennis Dodd, an outstanding report that he put out last night on CBS Sports. Conference realignment, Amazon interests may affect Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12 composition as talks continue. And we'll also be going over our Nebraska Cornhuskers Hot Board 3.0 and our Arizona Sun Devils Hot Board 2.0, giving you the updates on what we believe could happen here in the coaching searches for those two programs. But let's get to the major story. Amazon in talks with Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12. That's big news. It doesn't surprise us a whole bunch here at Peek Around the Corner, especially in and around the Pac-12 and the Big 10. The Big 12, that's very interesting. Very interesting. And again, I think Big 12 has a certain leverage over the Pac-12 in this regard. We're going to be getting that in a second. And of course, the Big 10 part of this, well, we at Peek Around the Corner have been letting you all know from our perspective, from our perch, for the people who we talk to, the talks have never stopped. We are in a hot window of action. We'll all let you know in July that there's going to be this hot window of August 15th, October 15th. That's what we were told. This was going to be the hot window, the decision-making window, what's going to happen in the Big Ten. No, not everything is completely dead like many have reported. Nothing is dead right now. Let's get to the report of Dennis Dodd, and then I will give you my thoughts after we go through this report. Plus, I want to hear what you got to say in the comment section below the video. Please let me know what you're all thinking. I read all the comments. I truly do. I go back and I read them all. And please hit the like button. If you like our content, please subscribe to this growing channel. And please share the video with your family and friends. Appreciate you so much. I appreciate you guys so very much. Let's get to the story. Let's get right into this. We got a lot to go through here in this episode 55 of Peek Around the Corner. Conference realignment, Amazon interest may affect Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12 composition as talks continue. Further realignment could be on the horizon as media rights packages remain outstanding. This is from Dennis Dodd 14 hours ago as we are reading this article. This is the article. Let's read it. Let's go through it. Amazon has emerged as a significant party in college football media rights talks and therefore may become a play in further conference realignment. CBS Sports has learned. The technology giant has been linked to all three conferences that figure to come to resolutions on conference composition in the coming months, given its interest in the Big 10, Big 12, and Pac-12, according to industry sources. I find this interesting. Here, the technology giant, going back here to this paragraph, the technology giant has been linked to all three conferences and figured to come to resolutions in the conference composition in the coming months. Now, we talked about this hot window, when everyone said everything was done and dead and nothing else was going to happen. We all let you know that we were told between August 15th and October 15th was going to be some more decision making going on. But we're getting this here. CBS report from Dennis Dodd says in the coming months. So maybe this decision gets extended past October 15th. And in that case, here at Peek Around the Corner, we would have been wrong. And you guys can drill us on it. But anyways, a lot of decisions, a lot of talks are being made right now. And they truly never did stop. Even after the initial Big Ten media contract was reported on, publicized, and talked about by everybody, the talks have really never stopped. Okay, let's get to the next paragraph. We got a lot to get over. The issue and quality of available content. While Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren remains interested in adding Pac-12 teams, his top games have already been distributed elsewhere after the league signed a new media rights deal with CBS, Fox, and NBC last month. Amazon finds itself in a situation where it is likely weighing whether to buy the top-tier games from the Big 12 and or Pac-12 compared to the lower profile options from the Big 10. The Big 12 and Pac-12 are already in competition seeking new media rights deals with Fox and ESPN, believed to be the primary bidders. Okay, let's talk about this, for example, about this paragraph. We know from reports that Pac-12 is in talks with ESPN, and now we know that they're in talks with Amazon. Big 12 is in talks with ESPN, Fox, and Amazon. So Big 12 has more to the party, possible more of a bidding war here for the Big 12 content. The more players you get into the game, the better off you are, the more leverage you have. Pac-12 is trying to create some leverage, right? They're talking to Amazon. I don't think ESPN will budge off their numbers. That's just my speculation. But of course, the Pac-12 is going to go out with their message war. We had that yesterday where we talked about how Clay Clough was talking about heavily looking into digital. And you know the rest of the story on his interview with Kazano and Wilner and everything else Clay Clough has been saying. Now, in regards to Amazon finds itself in a situation where it's likely wearing by top-tier games of Big 12, he would not, again, we have said this. Amazon won't get the top tier games of the Big Ten. They've already missed out on that. They did make a huge offer for the 3:30 Eastern game, which is also part of this article from Dennis Dodd we'll get into a second. But we also said at Peek Around the Corner, when the initial Big Ten contract was signed, sealed, and delivered and reported on, we said that the future expansion in the Big Ten, if it happens in this wave and this hot decision window, would come out of the digital space. It would come out of the streaming space. That's where you would see the expansion. You remember before this, the details of the Big Ten deal was announced and reported, we at Peek Around the Corner were saying we are going to look first and directly at how much streaming football games content will be part of the initial Big Ten media contract. And it was pretty light. It was pretty light. For what we were expecting, it was pretty light. 8 games, football games on Peacock. 4 non-conference games, 4 conference games. So at that point in time, we said, "Ooh, look, there could be space here for expansion," because we know Kevin Warren wants expansion. We've talked about all the motives behind it to get at least the 17th and 18th school. Big motivation is travel issues for UCLA and USC and plus the rest of the Big Ten. But yeah, the streaming space is where we thought the expansion would happen if it did happen. And sure enough, according to this Dennis Dodd report, that's what it looks like could be in the offering. Let's get back to the article. How many games would Amazon want and at what expense? There's still a skepticism within the industry about the viability of major live sport events that are only made available through streaming services. Again, the article. Streaming is going to continue to grow, one industry source told CBS Sports. But there's a reason why the NFL is still largely on network television. Another industry source surmised that in further expansion, there would be no Big Ten games available for Amazon involving the most attractive teams. Think Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. We would agree with that. And we're going to circle back to that in a moment. But we at Peek Around the Corner agrees with this reporting. That reality would have to be considered against top Big 12 games such as Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, and Houston versus Texas Tech. Are those games more desirable than the downstream Big Ten content? Let's get back to this where there'd be no Big Ten games available for Amazon involving the most attractive teams. Think Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. We agree with that. Now, Big Ten fans out there are going to say, Greg, you're wrong. There's equality in the Big Ten and all this stuff. There is to a certain point. I mean, the Big Ten has equal revenue sharing with their media contracts. And of course, they share a lot of other things, plus research and all that. But there is also points to where the biggest boys in the game, the biggest brands in the game in the Big Ten, they do call more of the shots. Example, you won't see Ohio State or Penn State or Michigan have a home game on a Friday night during the season. But you do see other Big Ten schools. Okay, that's just one example. So, yes, I don't think Michigan, now maybe, possibly, maybe a Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State would have a road game in an Amazon Big Ten game, right? But I don't think they would have a home game. And I'm not sure if they would even be the road team in any Amazon content in this, if this happens, if Big Ten expands with Amazon being that fourth window partner or being another Friday night partner. Okay? So I do agree with this. You have to measure the fact, you have to pretty much measure, does Amazon want to go with the top tier Big 12 games versus the fourth Big 10 game? However, let me throw this in there. Would Amazon get the top Big 12 game? Would Amazon get the top Pac-12 game? Remember, ESPN and Fox are in these negotiations with Big 12. See, it might be Amazon fourth most important game with Big 10 versus third or second most important game of Big 12 or Pac-12. That's probably the comparison you have to do. Not fourth versus one. Just to throw that in there. Let's get on with the article. There's a lot to get through today. In a historic deal finalized last month, the Big Ten's entire package of football games, approximately 112 games per year, is now spoken for across CBS, Fox, and NBC beginning in 2023. Games will also air on FS1, Big Ten Network, and Peacock, with CBS games simulcast on Paramount+. Continue with the article. However, Amazon getting involved with college football could change the paradigm. The platform could surely use its NFL Thursday Night Football package to promote college games on Saturday and vice versa. Warren was known to be previously interested in getting a major streamer involved in that existing Big Ten deal. If Amazon wants to join the Big Ten party, doing so would require the conference to expand beyond its forthcoming editions of USC and UCLA. California, Oregon, Stanford, and Washington would create more inventory, but at what cost? The Big Ten's decision makers and its new right shoulder have shown little interest in expanding the league beyond 16 teams, as any additional programs would not hold equal value. I disagree with this last part on this reporting. The Big Ten decision makers and its new rights holders have shown little interest in expanding the league beyond 16 teams. We disagree with that. They have shown extreme interest in expanding beyond 16 teams. They're getting their ducks in a row just in case the money is there and Amazon decides, if everything works out between Amazon and the Big Ten. They're extremely interested. That's why Brett McMurphy, in separate reports at Action Network and Stadium, has reported in his own separate reports that Big Ten has spoken with Oregon and Washington. And other people have confirmed that. Okay, and we have our own intel that we reported earlier last week, the week before that, in regards to Washington. And in our episode 52 of yesterday, our own intel on Oregon. And you've known, if you've been watching our Peek Around the Corner, we've been telling you things have never cooled. This has been in the works. Big Ten has been lining up their ducks in a row, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended. They're lining things up just in case if the numbers are there. We know that, we believe that Oregon and Washington would take a discount rate to get into the Big Ten. That Oregon's being highly aggressive. Okay, let's go on with this article. Next paragraph. The likes of Indiana, Maryland, Minnesota, Purdue, and Rutgers would be unlikely to support expansion. Again, I don't know where we would disagree with this. Now, of course, Kevin Warren needs to get the votes, right? He needs to get the votes. The numbers have to be there. But if the number is there from Amazon, we believe that there will be further expansion. We've been saying this for quite a long time, right? He says it's some of their games. I believe it's if some of their games that would largely be placed on Amazon if the conference grows further. That doesn't mean expansion is a dead topic. That doesn't mean Big Ten expansion is a dead topic, according to this article. No, it hasn't been dead. It hasn't been dead. Oregon and Washington have reportedly met with Big Ten officials, according to Stadium. Warren only has to convince his presidents, who are responsible for the purse strings. He could be selling them on a 20-team Big Ten that would be positioned as the biggest, best academic and athletic conference ever. Would Amazon be interested in being a part of that? A tech giant streamer arriving in the college media space has long been a subject of speculation. In other words, when would it make sense financially for an FBS conferences and a major streamer to partner? Apparently not yet. Amazon reportedly bid more for the Big Ten's 3:30 p.m. and prime time windows than any other Big Ten suitors, according to Athletic. If the Big Ten indeed turned down such an offer, the concerns were likely distribution and visibility. We've talked about all that before. The consensus among industry experts is that the streaming remains on the come as a platform of college rights. That's why Big Ten went big with broadcast partners, CBS, Fox, and NBC. But the future is coming. Amazon's 11-year deal with the NFL for Thursday Night Football is reportedly worth $1 billion per season. Apple recently signed a 10-year deal with MLS for all of its inventory at $250 million per year. Approximately 85% of U.S. households have at least one streaming service. However, 85% isn't 100%. The question remains, is there enough desirable content in the Big Ten, Big 12, Pac-12 for Amazon to get involved? The Big Ten is attractive, suggested one insider. But is it that attractive? Otherwise, what's the point? An industry source said, that's why they bid on the NFL. They got high-level games. We're going to skip over this California reviewing UCLA's Big Ten move. Here's the Big 12, Pac-12 shootout. Big 12 Commissioner Yormark said publicly for the first time that his conference is looking towards the West. Obviously going west is where I would like to go, Yormark told The Athletic. Okay, we're going to skip a little bit here. Not that there was much of a surprise. CBS reported earlier USC and UCLA left for the Big Ten, that the Big 12 desired Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. It's not too hard to discern that Yormark was at least referring to Arizona in his remarks. That's obvious. The Big 12's potential in basketball, which is deeper than the Pac-12 according to the media rights, might tip the deal. Think of Big 12 basketball and expansion that could boast Arizona, Baylor, Cincinnati, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas, and West Virginia. The tug-of-war also continues over the so-called fourth window that ESPN desires for late-night Saturday programming. Will the Pac-12 be able to keep all its teams in that valuable fourth window, or will it have to share with the Big 12? Stay up late and stay tuned. Okay. Here's another thing I'd throw in the pile. We reported yesterday on episode 52 that Oregon was extremely aggressive in the talks with the Big Ten. We gave some examples of that. Also, a piece of nugget in that episode is that we've been told, peek around the corner, it's our reporting, our intel, that Oregon's not signing anything that has any teeth to it in this new PAC media contract. If Big Ten is not able to, if Kevin Warren is not able to garner the votes of the Big Ten presidents because the numbers don't come quite good in enough with Amazon, Oregon's not going to stop trying to get into the Big Ten. They're not going to sign any grant of rights that has any teeth to it at all, or any real, true, viable exit fee to get out of the Pac-12 if and when the Big Ten expansion window opens again here in the near future. So, part of when a conference commissioner is negotiating with, especially with linear, with Fox and ESPN, it's always been advantageous for the commissioner of that conference, of course, to get a grant of rights signed by all of its institutions, because it helps give that commissioner leverage when dealing with the media companies. It ups the leverage of the total media package, the value of it. If Oregon, and I would assume, again, this part is speculation on my part, but I would assume Washington's in the same exact boat with Oregon. The ability for the Pac-12 commissioner to come up with a good, tight grant of rights, I don't think measures up to the ability of Yormark and Big 12 being able to do it with his Big 12 institutions. I think they're more in line than the Big 12. One of the reasons is at this point, there's really no perception that the SEC or the Big 10 is all that interested in any of the Big 12 schools. That's one major point. But I think there is other factors at play. But at any rate, the perception is, from many and from us, is that the Big 12 Commissioner Yormark has his schools more in line to where they would sign something with more teeth in the grant of rights or possible exit fee of the Big 12 versus what the Pac-12 commissioner can do. So therefore, that's another leg up that the Big 12 has over the Pac-12 in our estimation in regards to dealing with Amazon, Fox, and ESPN, that they can get a better deal, that Amazon would be more queasy, to use that word, with the Pac-12, because they know, or they're going to be told, that Oregon and Washington's not going to sign anything that has any strength to it in regards to the grant of rights or an exit fee. So I wanted to throw that in there. But Amazon, big player in future, possible future, further conference realignment as we sit here still in the middle of this hot window of August 15th and October 15th. I also want to throw in another log onto this fire. When all this was going on about conference realignment, and we said that Oregon and Washington and Stanford and Notre Dame were going to be the targets of the Big Ten, I think a day or two after it was announced on June 30th that UCLA and USC were joining the Big Ten, we were told that they were targets. And we also were told that one of the prime motivations was because of the travel issues with UCLA and USC. And I believe that is weighing heavily on the commissioner, because it was always the plan was to expand beyond the 16th school in this window. It wasn't ever going to be just USC, UCLA and stop there. And you saw his interview with Brian Gumbel on HBO Sports, where he basically said it in public, what we were saying prior to him saying it in public. When a Big Ten president or athletic director comes out like Iowa's did and said, we don't see, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing it, but we don't see this as one of our top priorities of expansion right now. Here's the deal. If there is no more expansion for Big Ten in this window of time, in this hot window, and we go on with 16 schools from 2024 for the next 5-6 years, the issue of travel is just going to come up and up and up and up. It's going to bubble up constantly. Kevin Warren doesn't want it. Kevin Warren he's trying to institute this messaging of Big Ten is for the student athletes. We want them to get more compensation. He's going down this pathway. He's trying to change the industry of college sports for the better of the student athletes. And this whole travel issue is something he doesn't want to have to talk about. He doesn't want this narrative to build, and build. Doesn't want that. And I'm telling you, one of the prime aspects of Big Ten and why it's valued so high. I mean, you talk about the ratings, right? Big Ten ratings are the second highest ratings of all the conferences. Last year they were right with the SEC, but historically they're below the SEC and above the other conferences. But one of the valued aspects of the Big Ten content is that the Big Ten country, the Big Ten metropolitan areas, buy the products and services that are advertised on TV. That not only is the viewership there, but the Big Ten country, the viewers actually buy the products and services that are advertised, which is what the advertisers want. That is extremely powerful and truthful when you're talking about NFL. The products and services that are sold because of NFL advertising is just gigantic, and that's why advertisers want to advertise their products during NFL games. Well, Big Ten is like that. It's national advertisers wanting to put their stuff in front of the Big Ten audience. This is one of the reasons why we believe Amazon went so heavily for Big Ten, right? Because Amazon's business is to move products and services. That's their business, literally. That's why they went so huge on the NFL. So huge, they just went over and beyond because they think it's a good deal for them. And that's why they went so big on the Big Ten. That's why they went so big on the Big Ten. They didn't get it here in the first wave. But see, I believe that they're going to go big again. That they have gone big again for Big Ten and for the expansion. Especially when you look at the connections between Amazon and Oregon and Washington. I don't have time for this episode to get in on that. But you people out west know what I'm talking about. So that's why this thing is still alive. It's always been alive. There's stuff going on. Anyways, we got other things we got to get to. I apologize for this long episode. There's so much stuff going on, and we're doing our best to try to keep up here at Peak Around the Corner. Let's just get into this Nebraska Hot Board 3.0, Hot Arizona Hot Board 2.0. As you can see behind me, we have Nebraska Hot Board 3.0. We got Campbell, number 1. Matt Campbell, Bill O'Brien, number 2. And we're still keeping that third spot blank. Now, our hot boards are very short. We don't see the challenge. There's not a great challenge on throwing out 20 names or 15 names, right? We want the challenge of trying to nail this thing with a very short list. And we can't quite come up with a third name yet. We don't think Lance Leipold is going to be that third name up on our board. We'll get to that in a second. Here in the Arizona Hot Board 2.0, we've expanded our list from Dillingham to Dan Mullen and Dillingham. So we got 2 names up there, and we got a third spot that's still blank. Let's get into what Bruce Feldman said in his reporting at The Athletic. Just going to show the tweet here. This was yesterday. Bruce Feldman, 10 days in Nebraska's coaching search, sources tell us that Lance Leipold, Matt Campbell, and Bill O'Brien are high on the Huskers list as Nebraska's process begins to unfold. Lance Leipold, Matt Campbell, Bill O'Brien. Boy, that looks so familiar, doesn't it? Right? We got Campbell and O'Brien. And we started this a week ago, right after Scott Frost got fired. So our hot board is looking pretty good. Matches up with what Athletic is saying. Now, we don't have Lance Leipold up there. We just don't think he's interested in moving. Now, I know he gave a little interview yesterday. It was shown on Twitter about him saying him and his wife moved to Lawrence, Kansas, and they're not looking to leave. I'm paraphrasing, but you can find that on Twitter somewhere. Yeah, we just don't think he's ready to leave, or if he's ever going to leave Kansas. We just don't have, we may add him, but we believe that Matt Campbell, Bill O'Brien would both be extremely interested, and we thought that Charles Alverts would be extremely interested in those 2 candidates from the get-go. We laid out the reasons why, and boy, that hot board is looking good. Hot board is looking good now for Arizona State Sun Devils. We have Dillingham. We got a lot of heat for that. The current offensive coordinator for Oregon. We had him listed as number 1. And we got the heat from Oregon fan, from every fan. But we believe, he's been listed in other people's hot boards. But we think he's from Scottsdale, Arizona. People are talking about he doesn't quite have enough experience. That's possibly true. But I think he would take the job. I don't think if you go through the process and if you're offered and you're a young guy like that, you never know when the next opening, when someone's interested in you in a Power 5 head coaching job, I think you take the job. Now the question is Arizona be interested in him? He's going to be in the process. Again, he's from the area. He has, even though he's a young man, he has high credentials. I saw a speech of his where he talked about culture being important. That you can go from day to day in these football practices. You can scheme out things. You can run your plays. But if you're not committed to improving every day as a player and as a team, if you don't have the culture that everyone's buying into, the schemes and the practices, and none of that matters. If you don't have the culture first. Sounds like a lot of PJ Fleck to me. And PJ Fleck was a young coach, supposedly didn't have enough experience to be a Power 5 head football coach from Western Michigan. And look at what he's done at Minnesota. This Dillingham reminds me a lot of PJ Fleck. Anyways, we're not going to take him off the board. So let the heat fly. Put in your comment section below this video. Dan Mullen is now number 1. Number 1, Dan Mullen. Now, why do we put him there? Because we've been hearing from reports, same reports you've been hearing, that the Arizona job might be a little bit more attractive than we thought when we first thought. Sounds like Arizona State might be able to put out that $5 million a year contract if there's a right big name out there. And because Herm Edwards was let go, that might be a mitigating factor that helps Arizona State get through these sanctions faster and easier. Possibly, maybe. Okay? So put those two things in, the job gets a little bit more attractive. With Dan Mullen, when he takes the next bite of the apple, is it going to be an SEC apple? Is he going to get that opportunity? I don't think so. And I don't see Dan Mullen as a Big Ten coach. So that gives him the options of Big 12, Pac-12, and ACC. Arizona State, I think Dan Mullen would be very interested, and I think that Arizona State would be very interested in Dan Mullen. Of all those names out there, I think Dan Mullen shines through. We looked at other names, Jeff Traylor of UTSA, some other names, but I feel pretty good, feel confident. Mullen 1, Dillingham 2 for the Arizona State Hot Board. Again, let us know what you think in the comment section below the video. Again, sorry for the long video, long episode. We had so much to get through. There's so much going on day to day. Stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Until next time, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much.